So I'm going to do something a little different. Many people have seen rent versus own, but I'm going to do a rent versus own and include a cost of waiting. And maybe it's a little crazy when we have this inventory shortage that I'm trying to create more buyers, but it's my job. And the results I'm getting from showing the numbers, I just had to share. So the first thing I want to do is share my screen with you. And I'm going to do, like I said, first time home buyer and the cost of waiting. I'm using $250,000 as that price point. Bigger cities is going to be more like $600,000, $700,000. I'll do that one later, but you can at least extrapolate and see how effective these numbers are. And I'm going to use this fiction couple. All right, maybe not a fiction couple. The Carters. Let's suppose that the Carters are just getting started in life and they wanted to buy a house, and for $250,000. And looking out into the future, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, National Association of Realtors, and the Mortgage Bankers Association, they're projecting where the interest rates are going to be in a year. So as you see there, that last sentence, 3.6 seems to be the average of those projections. So that's the number I'm going to use. And with any rent versus own, right around, what I try to do is say, all right, if you're paying $1,500 in rent, what is that price point? It's going to get you right around the same payment, not including the tax breaks and things like that. So $1,500 was the number I used, plus a $20 a month rental insurance. And here's 2021, $250. First time home buyer, big myth, you have to have 20% down or 10% down. I'm going with a 3% conventional down payment loan, and that's $7,500 down payment. The loan amount of $242,500, interest rate of 3 1/8, and that gives you a payment of $1,501.60, which is right in line with what a first-time homebuyer might be renting at the time of prospective. And this is for realtors to share with clients who are on the fence, or if you're thinking about getting into buying a house and you're not sure whether to buy now, buy later. I think your opinion or stance on it will change after this. Again, 1501, and you see, what I did was I have the software. So the bottom half of that evaluation is just the tax benefit, how much principal you pay, and you factor that into what the net monthly payment is versus and I use the 22%. Because the Carters are a married couple filing jointly, and I put them in the 22% tax bracket. This is early in their relationship when they only had billions. Anyway, so major difference in whether you're renting or you're just burning that cash paying someone else's mortgage. And then the cash to close is almost $18,000. But you'll see that those numbers work out to where it's worth it, where some people say, well, I want to save up more money to put 10% down or put 20% down. So continuing on, just comparison's sake, after 12 months, meaning in 2022, a renter will have paid to someone else's mortgage $18,240. If you decided to buy right now, almost $5,000 in principal paid. So that's roughly about $22,000 net to you as a homeowner. And I'll break it down a little bit more here with total payments, principal paid, tax benefit. As you see, $11,000 versus $18,240. And there's that $22,000 I was telling you about. So what would it look like in 2022 if you did wait? Versus buying now. So I just added another column, and what I did was say 4% appreciation, which is conservative over the history. You may have heard in one of my other videos, 6% historically has been the appreciation nationwide, but I'm only using 4%. and 4% of 250 is $10,000. So in 2022, if you waited a year, house would be worth $260,000. And then I also use that 3.6% that is projected for 2022. And the loan amount, $252.20 at 3% down payment of $7,800. And you see the payment there is $1,624, which is let's call it $125 more that you're paying if you wait a year. And then continuing on with the comparison, this column here is 2021, this is 2022. You do have a larger tax benefit, but you're paying less principal, and your net monthly payment is still lower in 2021 than it would be if you waited a year, and the savings is more than it would be if you waited a year, and you're putting more money down, over $1,000 more by waiting a year. But I do want to, and then here's that rent versus principal page. You end up paying less principal if you had waited a year as opposed to buying now. And then to break it down even more, you see this is the one area where you have more equity because you waited a year, you're paying more for the house. So that's why that number is about $500 better than in 2021. But that pretty much is the only advantage of waiting, $500 worth. And I'm going to show you some more numbers here. So how much would you have to put down in 2022 to keep the same monthly payment as 2021? If you remember, 2021, the payment was $1,500. And to get that $1,501 payment in 2022, you'd have to pay $32,000 more in down payment. All right. And that's not the end of it. With closing costs, you're bringing almost $43,000 to the table. That's 1 year. Here's the difference: almost $18,000 cash to close to keep the same payment. Some people are payment sensitive. So that's a huge number. And that $43,000 is essentially 20% down, when actually you can get in a house a year early at 3% down, and your net worth is going to be better, so on and so forth. I didn't want to get into all the minutia, but I wanted to point out some of the big numbers and the big differences. Okay, and then the other scenario was, what if you still wanted to just put 3% down? How much house could you afford? So I did that analysis, and here's that $1,501 payment, but the purchase price is, let's call it $240,000. So you're by waiting a year, you're able to afford $10,000 less in house. So these are very compelling reasons. I'm not a gambler by nature. And if you're on the fence, or if you have a client that's on the fence, or if you have a friend that's on the fence about whether it's good to buy now or wait to save money, I think this is pretty compelling documentation and evidence that you strike now while the iron's hot. So if you'd love for me to do an evaluation at any price point, I'm always available. You can reach out to me. And in the meantime, like, share, and subscribe.